Beneath the vast expanse of heaven and sea, where waves roared like ancient beasts and the firmament trembled under the weight of divine power, the Empress Luan Xing finally moved. With a single motion of her jade-like hand, the laws of the universe bent to her will. Threads of the great Dao erupted forth, transforming into countless divine chains, each one shimmering with the authority of heaven itself. They shot through the air like descending stars, raining down upon the elder of the Dark Night Hall with a force that seemed capable of binding even destiny. This elder was no ordinary foe. Among the shadowed ranks of the Dark Night Hall, he stood at the very peak, a being who had clawed his way to the consummate level of the heavenly body tier. Across the entire universe, how many could reach such a realm? And more importantly, how many could wield the saint-destroying crossbow, a supreme treasure of the Dark Night Hall? The mere fact that he possessed such a weapon spoke volumes. His status within the hall was beyond question. He was a figure of terrifying authority. Yet even such a figure now faced the wrath of a sovereign. Light burst from the elder's body as he roared to the heavens. Moments ago he had appeared aged and withered, like a candle flickering in the wind. But now his life essence surged upward like a raging inferno, burning with reckless abandon. He was staking everything. His blood essence ignited, his vitality transforming into raw, explosive power. This was no longer a battle of skill. It was a struggle for survival. Crush him! Empress Luan Xing's voice rang out, soft yet commanding, as though the world itself obeyed her decree. Her hands descended. In that instant, the divine chains multiplied endlessly, weaving through the void like serpents of judgment. This was not merely an attack. It was the embodiment of her comprehension of the great Dao, a manifestation of her dominion over heaven and earth. The elder's thoughts raced. He still believed that the crimson fire needle he had fired earlier had struck true. That even now, the Empress's blood was being continuously evaporated from within. No matter how powerful she was, such a wound could not be ignored. She had to be weakening. She had to be nearing her limit. As long as he endured, as long as he survived this storm, then the woman before him, the peerless beauty whose fame echoed across the galaxy, would fall into his hands. At that thought, something deep within him twisted. The mental discipline he had cultivated over tens of millions of years shattered like fragile glass. Desire surged forth, raw and unrestrained, reducing him to something akin to a lust-driven youth. His breathing grew heavier, his eyes burning with a feverish hunger. Victory was within reach. To capture such an empress, such a proud, untouchable sovereign, was the dream of countless elites. And if he succeeded, how intoxicating that triumph would be. How boundless his glory. Peng! The illusion shattered. With a single devastating strike, the elder was blasted backward through the air. His origin power armor disintegrated instantly, unable to withstand the force. He crashed into the churning sea below, water surging around him as his body was soaked through, his hair clinging to his face in disarray. Wah! A mouthful of blood burst from his lips as disbelief consumed him. How is your power still so strong? Shock gripped him. Both of them stood at the peak of the heavenly body tier. He himself was a 4-star genius, no ordinary cultivator. By all logic, the difference between them should have been minimal. At most, the Empress should surpass him by a single star of battle prowess. But that exchange, that crushing, overwhelming force, it was not a difference of 1 star, it was at least 3. 3 entire stars of disparity. How is this possible? How? His voice trembled, filled with incomprehension. But Empress Luan Xing offered no explanation. Her gaze was cold, her will unshakable. Treacherous thief, die! Her words carried the authority of a ruler who tolerated no defiance. In her world, none were permitted to stand against her command. The elder's expression hardened. With a swift motion, he retrieved a helmet and placed it upon his head. At once, the laws of heaven flowed down like a cascading river. Divine patterns emerged, intertwining across his body, forming intricate markings that radiated immense power. At a glance, there were no fewer than 1,000 such patterns. Combined with the over 3,000 divine patterns he already possessed, his aura surged explosively, climbing to unprecedented heights. In that moment, he was no longer inferior. He stood on equal footing. Kakaka! The elder laughed, arrogance returning to his voice. Do not forget, I am of the Dark Night Hall. Our legacy predates even the three majestic empires. The resources at our disposal are far beyond anything your majesty can imagine." Relying on external tools, Empress Luan Xing replied coldly, "You are nothing but a weakling." Her chains shifted. They transformed. Sabers, spears, swords, crossbows, countless weapons forged from the essence of the great Dao descended from the heavens, blotting out the sky itself. It was as if the firmament collapsed, as if the heavens themselves sought to punish this defiant existence. The elder's confidence wavered. Despite the helmet's power, a chilling dread crept into his heart. The woman before him, she exuded a pressure so terrifying that his very soul trembled. Without hesitation, he finally revealed his trump card. A black crossbow appeared in his hands, its surface etched with ancient, complex divine patterns. Though damaged, with many inscriptions incomplete, it still radiated an aura of annihilation. The moment it emerged, the surrounding space was suffused with an overwhelming, killing intent. An intent so profound it seemed capable of slaying saints, the saint-destroying crossbow. "Your Majesty," the elder sneered, "you would do well to surrender. I brought 3 crimson fire needles. You've already suffered one. If another strikes you, even I will be powerless to save you." His eyes gleamed. "I would hate to watch such a beauty perish." But Empress Luan Xing remained unmoved. Her palm descended. Darkness swallowed the world. Divine chains surged once more, seeking to obliterate him entirely. "Humph!" The elder's expression turned fierce. Gone were his earlier fantasies. Only survival mattered now. With a shout, he thrust out his palm, thousands of divine patterns weaving together to form a defensive wall. At the same time, he activated the saint-destroying crossbow. He would stake everything on this strike. In terms of pure strength, he remained inferior. Yet with the helmet's amplification, the gap had narrowed. He might not win, but he would not fall instantly. He only needed time to unleash death. The crossbow awakened. Its activation drained him greatly. Sweat poured down his brow, his aura wavering as the immense burden pressed upon him. Yet the moment it fully came alive, a devastating presence flooded the battlefield. Even damaged, it was still a saint tool. Even Empress Luan Xing's expression grew solemn. Behind her, 9 towering mountains materialized, each one radiating ancient, immovable power. They descended together, crashing toward the elder with the force of collapsing heavens. "Go!" With a roar, the elder abandoned all hesitation. The saint-destroying crossbow fired. A streak of crimson light shot forth, piercing through the Empress's defensive regulations as though they were mere illusions. It sped unerringly toward her, unstoppable, inevitable. The elder's lips curled. Once released, the crossbow's bolt would never miss, unless the target surpassed its power, and the crimson fire needle, it devoured blood. Even heavenly body tier elites could not withstand it for long. She had already endured one strike. A second would seal her fate. Yet she did not dodge. The crimson light pierced her chest. "She's finished," the elder murmured, satisfaction and regret intertwining within him. Such a beauty, lost before he could claim her. But then, his expression froze. Terror replaced triumph. The Empress stood before him, unharmed. Her vitality surged like a boundless ocean, her aura as domineering as ever. There was no sign, none at all, that she had suffered 2 fatal strikes. Impossible! Die! Her voice cut through the air like a blade. Having weathered his attack, she unleashed a ferocious counterstrike. Space itself shattered beneath her palm, collapsing into chaos. The elder's heart broke. All will to fight vanished. Without hesitation, he turned and fled. Empress Luan Xing pursued for several steps, but then she halted. Her aura flickered, a trace of instability surfaced. "I was struck by his first attack. Even the 9 Deaths Heaven art could not fully suppress the crimson fire needle," she thought silently. "But the second, I was prepared." Hidden within her grasp was a peculiar stone, the very thing that had blocked the fatal blow. Her gaze turned cold once more. Assassins of the Dark Night Hall were indeed fearsome, and the saint-destroying crossbow, a weapon capable of threatening even heavenly body tier elites. "Humph," her voice echoed with killing intent. "Even if you flee to the ends of the world, I will hunt you down and slaughter you." With that, she moved once more, her figure vanishing into the horizon as she gave chase. Translator, Henyi Translations. Editor, Henyi Translations. Linghan's footsteps slowed, then halted entirely, as though an invisible thread had suddenly tightened around his senses. Shui Yanyu, who immediately noticed the change. Her brows knit slightly as she turned to him. "What's wrong?" Ling Han did not answer at once. His gaze drifted across the unfamiliar terrain, his mind moving like a silent current beneath still waters. After a moment, he spoke in a low voice. "There's something off. I have this persistent feeling that someone has been following us." Shui Yanyu's expression shifted. She instinctively began to list possibilities, though each name only deepened the unease. Could it be the Dark Night Hall? Or Zhao Lun? Perhaps even Xiao Wuke? But even as she spoke, a bitter smile tugged at her lips. The truth was almost absurd. Too many people wished for Ling Han's death. Naming suspects felt like picking grains of sand from an endless shore. Ling Han remained calm. He considered each name carefully, his thoughts sharp and methodical. "It can't be Zhao Lun," he said. "He's with Great General Zhao. With that kind of backing, there's no need for stealth. If Zhao Lun wanted me dead, he'd come openly and crush me without hesitation." He paused, then continued. "As for Xiaowuk, he doesn't have any Sun Moon tier elites with him. After witnessing my defenses, he wouldn't be foolish enough to provoke me again." His eyes narrowed slightly, the conclusion forming like a blade drawn from its sheath. "That leaves only one possibility, the Dark Night Hall." Shu Yanyu folded her arms, her thoughts racing to keep pace with his. If it's them, why haven't they acted yet? Could it be that the assassin isn't strong enough and is waiting for reinforcements? Ling Han shook his head slowly. "This place is completely unfamiliar. There's no way to even tell direction, north, south, east, west, all meaningless here. Without a map, how could they possibly describe our location to others?" Shu Yanyu's eyes flickered with realization. "You're right. No one has ever set foot here before. Without any reference, they can't call for help." She clapped her hands lightly, as if reaching a conclusion. "Then the assassin must be hesitating because they're too weak." Ling Han did not agree. His gaze remained distant, thoughtful. "Not necessarily. It's possible they know about Little Asura, and understand that he's not someone to be taken lightly. They could be waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike." At once, Shu Yanyu nodded vigorously. She had indeed overlooked the Asura Demon Emperor. His constant shameless antics made it easy to forget that he was, in fact, a formidable existence. "Huh?" The Asura Demon Emperor suddenly spoke, his face full of confusion. "Why haven't I sensed anything unusual?" Ling Han glanced at him and explained patiently. "Even though you're controlling a Sun Moon tier puppet, your own cultivation is still at the Mountain River tier. Your divine sense is limited. On top of that, this place suppresses perception. It's completely normal that you haven't detected anything." The Ashura Demon Emperor's face fell instantly. His spirit dampened. Being unable to raise his cultivation in the immortal realm weighed heavily on him. It was a constant source of frustration. Ling Han stroked his chin, a faint smile forming as a plan took shape. "If they insist on hiding, then we'll simply draw them out." Shu Yanyu tilted her head. "And how do you plan to do that?" Ling Han's smile widened. "We'll have Little Asura move far away." He spoke as if it were the most natural thing in the world. With the Vajra seal and the Lion seal in his possession, even peak Sun Moon tier elites did not intimidate him. "Master, are you abandoning your loyal Little Asura?" The Asura Demon Emperor immediately acted pitiful, his tone full of exaggerated sorrow. If he had a tail, it would surely have been wagging desperately. "Get lost," Ling Han snapped, kicking him away without hesitation. "Master!" The Ashura Demon Emperor's voice trailed off as he was sent flying hundreds of kilometers into the distance. Ling Han dusted off his hands, a satisfied smile on his face. "Let's hope our hidden friend takes the bait soon. Otherwise, it'll feel like a venomous snake is watching us every step of the way." Shu Yanyu's heart remained heavy. If the assassin truly made a move, they would undoubtedly be a Sun Moon tier elite. In such a situation, Ling Han might not even have the chance to retreat into the Black Tower or activate his divine seals. Sensing her worry, Ling Han chuckled lightly. "Relax. Your husband isn't so easy to deal with. Come on, give me a smile." She couldn't help but laugh, rolling her eyes at him with a mix of exasperation and relief. Thus, the two continued forward, while far away, the Asura Demon Emperor deliberately kept his distance, creating a perfect opening for their unseen pursuer. A day passed in silence. Then, a A cold, sinister laugh sliced through the air like a blade. A figure appeared before them without warning. It was a gaunt, middle-aged man, his appearance twisted and unpleasant. Behind him, faint images of the sun and moon flickered into existence, marking him as a cultivator at the low extreme of the sun-moon tier. No wonder he had remained hidden until now. His strength was inferior to the Asura Demon Emperor. "Brat," the assassin sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. "I know you deliberately sent that puppet away to lure me out. I don't know what game you're playing, but do you really think you can escape from me?" His eyes gleamed coldly. "Power decides everything. No amount of schemes can bridge the gap between us." Ling Han merely smiled. "You finally showed yourself. As a Sun-Moon tier elite, don't you feel ashamed, tailing 2 Mountain River tier cultivators like a thief in the shadows?" "Courting death," the assassin barked. Without another word, he attacked. To an assassin, hesitation was a luxury. The moment the threat of the Asura Demon Emperor vanished, there was nothing left to restrain him. Boom! Black light erupted from his body, condensing into a massive spear that tore through the air toward Ling Han. Lion Seal! Ling Han activated the Divine Seal without delay, slapping it onto his body. In that instant, an overwhelming force surged through him. His skin shimmered as hundreds of divine patterns emerged. Intricate, glowing markings that spoke of terrifying power. There existed a simple way to judge cultivation beyond realms. Divine patterns. Mountain River tier cultivators possessed fewer than 100. Sun Moon tier cultivators fewer than 1,000. Heavenly Body tier cultivators fewer than 10,000. And now, Ling Han's body bore 800 divine patterns. Peng! He punched forward. His origin power transformed into a colossal hand, crashing directly into the black spear. The spear shattered instantly, reduced to dust upon contact, while the giant hand surged onward without losing momentum. The assassin's pupils shrank violently. 800 divine patterns. Even consummate Sun-Moon tier elites rarely exceeded 300. Reaching 1,000 meant standing among the very best of the realm. 800. That was a level brushing against the pseudo-heavenly body tier. If that hand touched him even by a fraction, he would be obliterated. Damn it! He fled in panic, unleashing his movement techniques to their limits. Boom! The massive hand slammed down, tearing the seabed apart and creating a terrifying vacuum. The assassin narrowly escaped, but the shockwaves hurled him hundreds of meters away like a rag doll. Before he could regain his footing, a shadow appeared. Ling Han stood before him once more. The assassin's face turned deathly pale. He possessed life-saving treasures, yes, but none capable of withstanding pseudo-heavenly body tier power. Despair clawed at his heart. Only now did he understand the truth. Ling Han had not sent the puppet away out of arrogance, but to lure him into a trap. Just as terror threatened to consume him completely. Huh! His expression changed abruptly. He felt it. A familiar aura. Tai Feng! Elder Tai Feng! Joy surged through him like a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. Elder Tai Feng, an upper echelon existence within the Dark Knight Hall. A true elite. A cultivator at the consummate level of the heavenly body tier. Laughter burst forth in his mind. What incredible fortune. Even if Ling Han could temporarily reach pseudo-heavenly body tier strength, how could he possibly stand against a genuine heavenly body tier master? And not just any master. Elder Tai Feng stood at the peak of that realm, a 4-star elite whose power could crush mountains and shatter the heavens. In that instant, the tide of fate seemed to turn.